This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Night Stalkers? This is Steven, your host with Fantology Podcast, along with my lifelong friends Ben and Josh, and we're talking about Alex Verus books 4 and 5, Chosen and Hidden, so double feature, and that's going to be our plan for most of these books. We'll just do 2 and 1 because they're a bit shorter. So, guys, book 4 I thought got a lot better. I thought this was a massive improvement. Book 5, I guess I'm kind of bearing the lead here. And saying book 5, I did not like as much. And actually, now I'm not even sure. Did I use that term right? Bearing the lead? Is that
no? Bearing the lead is when you don't say the lead initially.
Oh,
you're
you're
jumping the gun here.
Yeah, I am uncovering the lead. I am grave digging the lead. Okay, whatever. So would you guys think, just kind of like high level, books 4 and 5?
Yeah, very similar opinion as you. I thought 4. I mean, no spoilers yet, I guess, but it like definitely added a lot more texture to Alex as a character, and it expanded the world in interesting ways, and we got some new background information, and so I thought that was great. And 5, I felt like took a step back in terms of the scope that it was dealing with, right? Like it was very like isolated from other events. I feel like, honestly, if I don't want no spoilers for Dresden, but this definitely felt like a changes to ghost story type situation where we had like a lot of stuff happen, and then it was like a very narrow field of focus in the very next book. And
yeah,
it left a lot of people
kind of a bridge book, if you will.
Yeah, so that's I feel like similar thoughts as you.
I think I roughly agree with you guys. I did enjoy book 4. I thought it was I think book 4, I feel like, built out Alex's character in a really, really cool way. You got to know him a lot better. And then book 5, it almost made you feel like you knew Alex a little bit less. And with the focus so much on Anne, I feel like we lost a little bit of Alex in there. And again, with the main comp here being Dresden, I feel like we get a lot more information about Dresden characters, but the focus is always on Dresden himself. You know what I mean? With some additional, characters being fleshed out in short stories and compelling character development during the series itself. But I feel like book 5, yeah, my main struggle was it wasn't really focused on Alex. It was more focused on Anne, which I just didn't care enough about Anne at this point in the series that really worked for me. And so those are my kind of overview thoughts about book 4 and 5. Or I think book 4 worked and 5 didn't as much for me.
So before we go much further into the review, we'll pause here for an ad break. And now we are back, and I saw Ben kind of gearing up for a response towards right before I cut him off.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, I think that we should kind of open the floodgates to spoilers at this point, right? Is that kind of okay?
Yeah. I think from here, we're just going to go into start with book 4, talk about it in more detail, then we can go over to Hidden after that.
Okay. I have one response to Josh kind of talking about being focused on Anne. I think I agree with that, but I also think one of the problems was that I think the series shines best when you're dealing with the multiple personalities interacting with each other. And when it was just Alex and Anne interacting with each other, then I feel like there wasn't as much there as I would have wanted. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have the Luna, you didn't have the Arachne, you didn't have like all these other characters kind of there to give their inputs and stuff. So anyway, I do still feel like it was focused on Alex, but I felt like because there wasn't the larger cast of characters that it kind of struggled. But we can kind of go back to book 4 now.
Yeah, I mean, to play off that, I think book 4, as it starts and they're playing Settlers of Catan all together at Alex's house or flat. And I thought, like you said, it works really well when they're all together like that and they're kind of bouncing off each other and everyone's personalities are on display. So, I mean, really from beginning to end, book 4 I thought was excellent and really leveled up the series for me. I think I had heard that this was going to happen, and I'm pleased to say it really worked for me all the way through.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of the overall plot, right? Like you're playing Catan and then like there's somebody on the roof and that starts the adventure, right? Like that's kind of, and I thought that that worked really well. I really enjoyed the night, is it Night Stalkers or Night Stalkers?
Night Stalkers, I'm pretty
Night
sure. Yeah.
Stalkers. I enjoyed them a lot as a villainous troop because it gives you the impression that like everybody's the hero of their own story, right? Like
Yeah.
Will could have been the hero of his story, out for, to take vengeance on, this long lost rival and getting a group of, outcasts together.
Yeah, plucky group of outcasts. They're all kind of underpowered. They have different fun powers. Like in another universe, this is the story.
Right, exactly. And Alex really is the villain because he just went in, blew everything up, and then walked away from it unscathed, and now he's just living a normal life. So I thought that was like, I can't think of very many times where I've seen that done at all. Where it's just like this this villain of this series that in other circumstances could be the hero of this, like the hero of the series. So I thought that worked really well.
I agree mostly with that. I think that the problem with that is that it kind of felt like the ending was forced to make Alex make those hard decisions and make the decision to kind of lead to all these people's deaths. Whereas if I'm forgetting the kid's name, the leader of the Night Stalkers, Will. Whereas if Will would have been a little like an actual kind of hero, he definitely would have maybe sacrificed himself so that his friends could get away, or like not has, and I feel like, but I feel like they wanted or Benedict wanted Alex to go through this like trial of having these deaths weigh on him and break up his little posse as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thoughts about it.
Yeah, I agree. Like Will definitely had hubris going on, and it absolutely, like he's ends up not being very, very good at all. But like I think I also agree with you that the ending did feel forced. I feel like I'm kind of like Team Ann on this one. Like Alex could have found a way, without resorting to what he did.
I mean, I think the way he builds the plot, sure, I agree with you that the plot is forcing his hand to some degree, and Benedict Jaka definitely wanted this to happen, and so these events were structured in a way where it made sense that ultimately he would have to make this decision. But I also think it really shows like Alex is on the run and he's desperate, and this has happened multiple times where these guys keep on coming off him, and he is really underpowered. Like he's only got a few moves and he can't compete with these guys that, even though Will and his friends are just adepts, he still doesn't have really any offensive firepower. So I think the plot, while it pushes him towards this decision, also puts you in the shoes of a very desperate protagonist who feels like he can't do anything else. And he does try a few times. Like he calls him on the phone and he says, look, dude, like you have got to stop this, or bad stuff is going to happen. And still it doesn't work out. So he does try. I don't know. As I was reading, I was thinking, what else could he have done? And I don't know. I mean, sure, there's always like some kind of Deus Ex Machina that comes down from the sky and makes everything better, but that didn't exist in this story.
Yeah, like, and I think that it really does set the tone at the very beginning with Alex having like that death scare where he gets stabbed and rescued by Anne. Yeah. So definitely like ups the stakes a little bit for sure. Like where he's he can't really afford to treat these people like they're however, I don't know, man, like lead him into some type of non-lethal trap. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, like why couldn't you have gotten the what are the cops in this universe called? The Keepers? No.
The Keepers.
The Keepers.
Well, he did call the Keepers.
Yeah, but I feel like he could have made the keepers see them breaking a law, and then like the keepers arrest them or something like that.
Well,
You know
no,
what I
no, they
mean?
did. They
Am I
attacked. Uh, they
Yeah,
attacked Caldera, and
right.
they refused to do anything.
I'm
So at
forgetting
that
that.
point, Alex was like, okay, got it figured out. They attacked a keeper. So therefore the council will just step in and intervene. And the council was not having it. So yeah, I mean, maybe that could have worked and that would be the story, but
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
it doesn't
but
happen.
it's because they were tracking them for something else. That was another kind of issue. It seems like they're setting this, like he was setting this group up to be like potentially a larger actor, like, because what's his face, his other friend, that's
The fire.
Sonder?
Sonder, yeah,
Sonder.
Sonder had talked about how they were trying to track him as well, right? I
Yeah,
feel like
the
they were
keepers were
mentioned a few
definitely
times.
aware of them.
Yeah. So it felt like they were maybe setting them up to be a bigger, like, you know, a pawn of a
Mhm.
bigger player. We'll see how we'll see where that goes. It didn't really pan out anything in book 5.
I do think we need more internal council stuff at this point because the keepers and the council are just kind of like this nebulous, guy sitting on a throne laughing while everything burns to the ground. Like they just seem evil for no reason, or
Yeah,
maybe
it
not
seems like
evil,
just
but
a source
just
of
not caring.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like there's just a source of villains that come from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. We've seen a few members, but not enough to the point where we can like really buy into this idea that they are so arrogant that they're not going to do anything to help Alex ever.
Well, absolutely no spoilers, but if you want that, I think you're going to enjoy book 6. So,
Okay, good.
yeah. I'm like halfway through book 6 right now. So, I yeah, but like maybe like tap some of his, like tap Arachne, like lead them to her lair, or lead them to, I don't know, just, but because it seems like he made that promise to Anne that he was going to find a non-lethal way. And in the back of his mind, he already knew that he was going to have to break that promise. And so for me, I'm
Well,
like,
he didn't break the promise because he didn't kill them, somebody else
but
killed them.
he knew that, like,
Right.
it was, and so to me, I'm like, either be upfront with Anne that like you don't think that this is going to be a promise that you're going to be able to keep, or just don't make the promise.
I can't remember at what point he actually makes that promise, but he definitely tries several things to solve, and none of it ever works. So I don't know exactly how much blame to put on Alex for making a hasty promise that he didn't think he could actually keep.
I think I just remember like some type of internal dialogue that's like, something in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he definitely could have been more upfront, like, hey, this may not happen, but yeah.
But I think that overall it does show what he's willing to do as a character, right? Like it does show his roots as a dark mage. It shows or an apprentice to a dark mage.
Mhm.
Like the fact that he's even able and willing to like devise that plan, does show that he's not afraid of having some blood on his hands. And you do kind of get that at the end of book 3. I don't know, where he kind of goes in and kills all the guards. That was pretty crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the full fleshing out of the backstory was good, and the whole story with Delio and Shireen, and I mean that was all that that further enhanced everything going on and just raised the stakes and made people seem, I mean, is much more gray than we've seen in previous books, and really kind of separates from Dresden more, where Dresden's maybe kind of a gray character, but he's really someone who you can always count on to have upstanding moral fiber. And
Well, so I will say the thing about Dresden is it does use a lot more of creatures and stuff in the books. Like Dresden might be blasting through vampires, and so you don't really care that he's killing these vampires because they're vampires or whatever. Whatever the creature that they're fighting, fae, vampires, whatever in Dresden. Whereas there's not very many creatures in the series. So it does feel a little bit more brutal because he's killing humans. I guess that might be a reason why it's easier to not think of Dresden as gray of a character as Alex.
Yeah, I could buy that. Yeah. But yeah, I really like Delio's backstory. That was pretty crazy, where she just straight up, basically kills her best friend, and that's who's kind of like lurking in the back of her mind, And again, like, that's the thing, man. It sets up all these really cool character dynamics. And then book 5 comes along and just kind of really narrows that view,
Yeah, it seemed like in book 5 he's trying to do something similar with Anne and make a direct comparison between Harry's background, or not Harry, Alex's background and Anne's background. Before we go to book 5, though, anything else from book 4?
I thought that the use of magic, I thought, is continually increasing, like the fight scenes and using like the adepts using their like one skill set in different ways. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that Richard is a continuing growing menace that we've seen, where like Delio's just basically booby trapped his old mansion and will just kill anybody that comes in it because she's been told to keep an eye on it. So I thought that's kind of, that slow build has really been working for me of when is Richard going to come back.
Right. The obvious, like, real big bad being set up here, at least we assume at this point. I think that worked pretty well at this point.
Especially how it's done. So like in a pretty, it's not overhanded. It's not like overly done where it's like, it's just like, oh, we'll put it in a setting that has connections to Richard. You know what I mean? Like, so that it's just kind of like in the background that you're aware of it. So I thought that was cool. I thought that Alex being used as a finder to like, and that was his kind of big sin that he did, was found somebody that they ended up kidnapping and killing. That worked for me because it's not like Alex really got his hands dirty, but he was definitely like part of it without having to, I don't know. And then the fact that like that kind of snapped himself out of it really quickly, and that he tried to rescue her from prison. It really does tell you like, hey, Alex has always been really good. Like he might have gone through, like he might have had bad influence at some point in his life, but like he was able to snap himself out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, good, but obviously willing to do bad things.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I think he goes down a dark path. The interesting thing to me, and I can't remember if this was built out in book 4 or 5, was Alex's like backstory, like when he was a kid. Like he didn't have any like trauma in his life. He was just kind of like an angsty kid, right? Like he was
like a little bullied, and with a dad that
he has a dad as a college professor that didn't seem like abusive at all. He was just, he's kind of he has a disagrees with his like moral philosophy, but like can't really use that as an excuse, like he wasn't like orphaned. He wasn't
right. Yeah.
He had like a relatively stable upbringing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
went down a really dark road for no real apparent trauma related reason.
Well, I think I agree with that. I think that one thing that he was struggling with was his divination, and that played into him getting bullied, right? And then when you have a dad that's like, oh, just like turn the other cheek, like just it'll get better, and like it's not getting better, and you keep on getting bullied, that, and then somebody comes along and offers you power and like a way to beat the bullies. I think that I mean no, I know
trauma, I think it's,
but
it's well done, it's well set up, but it doesn't make you really root for Alex in the way that you would. I think it contributes to the grayness of his character. Like if somebody's like plucked out from an orphanage by this figure that offers them a home and stuff, then that's like, well, you can't really blame them for if that person turns out to be evil, what I mean? Whereas if somebody's in high school and just like goes and gets a bad mentor, and it's really they have a good support system. They just chose that bad mentor. And you can't, you can put a little bit more blame on their shoulders, I guess. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's kind of similar to Rachel and Delio too, right? Like, oh, like, we're out here to make the world a better place for women mages, but like now that we've associated ourselves with Richard, like nobody else is going to take us, and we'll just be taken advantage of. And so it's kind of like the slow walk down. You know, again, not through any like crazy bad decisions, but enough bad, like slightly bad decisions that they end up in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that as we see more of Richard, he is written in a really kind of menacing type of, I'm not sure what a good comparison is, but someone who is able to, just like a master manipulator, and is able to get people to always make the wrong choice every time and become evil. And it seems like that's what's being hinted at, where he's this real composed, kind of normal looking dude, but we're also so scared of him because of kind of unknown reasons at this point. Like it's been a little more of like a tell don't show. Like there's been some, especially in the backstory that we've seen, there's been some hints of the way that he operates, but nothing in present day yet, really. So I'm hoping that as time goes on, we're able to really get the menace of Richard.
One thing that would make me incredibly happy with the series is if Richard ends up being on the right side of whatever like underlying conflict is brewing.
Oh man.
And like Alex needs to work with him or not against him or whatever, like
there's definitely going to be some type of Richard Alex force team up at some point in the series.
I don't know. I could see more of an Alex Delio force team up. Actually, I don't know. She's insane.
She is.
Well, they've already
Alex,
kind of been forced
Alex
to team
Cinder.
up, Alex and Delio.
Yeah.
Cinder,
I can't
he's already
see.
teamed up with Cinder.
Yeah,
Alex and Cinder are like best friends.
That's already
they have like a bromance going on.
I was trying to think of something that would work, but I don't think that Alex Richard is gonna work ever.
I think that Richard might be. I think that there might be like an Armageddon thing coming, and Richard might be.
No, Richard can usher in the Armageddon, man, from the freaking alternate reality that he visited.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe he went there to stop the Armageddon, or like find a new. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, I think it would be a really cool.
Listeners, we know nothing more. This is like pure speculation.
Yeah, this is pure speculation. I guess, yeah,
that could be cool, Josh. I just don't see it happening at this point.
I just think it would elevate the series a lot and make you kind of. I think it would be cool. Anyway, it's not like it's just one of those things that I think would be a fun payoff.
Yeah, Steven, since you described Richard that way, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, because I know that there's been a few that, like, either in Hollywood, like there's been, these really creepy characters that are almost like, I don't know, just very manipulative. We know, come up with listeners, if you come up with a good comparison, let us know.
I think there's a decent one in First Law that I don't want to say because of spoilers, but it's not in the same type of manipulation. It's really more way in the background.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Peter Baelish Littlefinger almost, but he doesn't seem quite as sinister.
Yeah.
Never really holds as much power as it seems like Richard does.
Yeah, I don't know. But the scene where, to kind of like jump into book 5 a little bit, the scene where we do see Richard flex in power is when like the apprentices and what's her name? The mind mage. They like finally find Alex and Anne. And so like they're ready to like kind of start fighting. And then Richard just like trots up and like everybody's like, oh crap, we gotta just like give this guy some space, let him figure it out. Like, and he just totally commands the situation without even like raising a finger,
Yeah. So in book 5 is the big return, and we do start to see a little bit of what I was asking for. And that's Crystal, by the way. She's the mind mage. Yeah.
She's been, in the background. I thought that was really well done in book 5, is just kind of having her pop up just so you don't forget the conflict in, was it book 3 or something? Where she, so that was well done.
Yeah. And I think he's planning on, like, I'm not expecting too many new elements to be introduce okay, new things will certainly happen, but I feel like he's got his core cast of characters at this point. Maybe like one or two additions, but I think he's planning on reusing a lot of these from the previous books.
Yeah. And he does a good job of kind of like rotating them through, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Sanda's gonna be disliking Alex for a while, so we don't have to really have him as a character in this book, or or yeah. So that's kind of
yeah. It's kind of like the Dresden formula, where it's like every third book was a vampire book, every fifth book was a Denarian book, whatever. Like that actually was the case for the first like 15 books or so, but and in this case, it's like books 3 and 5 were both kind of what are they called, the like alternate realities that they go into?
Shadow realms.
Yeah, shadow realms. Yeah. So we're starting to see like a recurrence of a lot of these plot threads. Although I think my main issue with book 5 was we kind of already saw this in book 3. A lot of these plot elements were in book 3, already happened. Doesn't seem like it's super new and exciting because we've just already seen it.
Yeah, kind of like the constructs. You're like, all right, I'm getting a little bit tired of the constructs. You know what I mean? Or yeah.
And Sagash like just having these kind of these pretty powerful council wizards or wizards that that you're supposed to be scared of, but they haven't really done anything too menacing,
Well,
so
Sagash isn't a council wizard. He's a
but anyway.
Just that level, the upper level wizards.
Yeah, who's supposedly able to just like take Alex out with a flip of their finger, but for some reason they don't. Yeah, and going to the party right at the beginning where it's like, oh, here's another party that him and Luna are gonna attend. It is kind of getting like a little bit stale. You're like,
The thing is, I really like these formulas when you feel like you can kind of live in the city and live in their life a little bit, like kind of the opening with Catan thing. I kind of like those things. I just feel like there needs to also be an overarching kind of plot that needs to start to emerge, and I feel like we're getting there but haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's what book 4 was kind of inching us closer to, right?
It's like book 4. I mean, book 5 was a big step forward too. Richard finally came back, and
well, you had that one scene with Richard, right? But that was it.
Well, the fact that he's back is obviously massive.
But you've basically been told that he's
kind
back.
of knew he was back by then.
Well, okay, sure, yeah.
It's kind of like Voldemort coming back. You're like, okay, well, yeah, I knew he was going to come back.
Yeah, but Voldemort comes back in that's so much more dramatic, right? Like this scene with the graveyard and Cedric dying and comes back in this ritual, like that's all much more dramatic than what we saw here.
That's true. Yeah. But him coming back wasn't that surprising, right?
Well,
sure, just done better.
Sure. But it also sets up Voldemort as this very evil character, right? Well, Richard, I mean, he is evil, but at the same time, he doesn't want people to really think he's evil. Like his title is Dark Mage, but at the same time, he's just like such a smooth talker that.
And again, we're basically just told he's evil. I mean, we do see that he didn't really care about that person's life, and we do see like that he pit, the
Rachel
and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do see that he pitted them together. So we've seen him do some like pretty evil things, but not much more evil than like other villains that we've seen throughout the season that Alex is able to take out pretty easily.
Yeah, this season. I can agree with that.
Still in season 1. Maybe this was a book 2 is probably season 1 finale.
I think we're in season 2. Yeah.
I think book 1 was season 1 finale.
Season 2. Yeah.
Book 4 is a season finale, and then book 5 is
it's a 3-season show. Every 4 books is a season. Maybe
like
later on they get more action packed. We break it up into 4 or 5 seasons. Who knows?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it was kind of when Alex, and that was part of Alex's thing. Like he never lies, right? He might like warp the truth a little bit, but he'll never lie. And everything just seems so logical when he's talking.
So he's just Black Aja.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, Black Aja can lie. So he's Black Aja, but he's masquerading as a regular Aes Sedai.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. So and the fact that like Anne doesn't have like this immediate like she actually considers, like she's like, no, we should go with him. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a really cool interaction there, was that Anne was kind of willing to go with Richard, and Alex was like, well, we should just go like to Sagash. You know what I mean? And
yeah, because she was much more afraid of Sagash, and he was much more afraid of Richard.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you kind of get this weird interaction where it's like, well, which evil are you going to choose? And of course you do the thing that like Alex is more comfortable with. But that was kind of an interesting tension there.
Yeah, that juxtaposes the two backstories that these books are both trying to set up. And I thought Anne's backstory was interesting. Overall, she's kind of she's a frustrating character because you want her to kind of forgive Alex based off her own backstory. It seems like maybe she should be more understanding that Alex was in an impossible situation in book 4, like she has been in her life in years prior. So I thought that was a little annoying.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that it more has to do with her own like coping mechanisms, that it's almost like if you're, I don't know, I don't want to, I guess I'll make the analogy. It's like maybe if you're sober, right, you don't want to be around people that are drinking. Right. Or I guess if you're like a recovering alcoholic, right? Like
Fair enough.
it's just like, look I hate killing. It's like made me want to like kill myself. So like maybe you do have to do it, but I'm not going to be around you. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of the tack that she took, which I think is understandable, you know?
Yeah. And obviously there's so much trauma here that the logical decision is not always there. You kind of go with you go with the emotions, and a lot of it with this negative emotion.
Well, and especially yeah. I mean, where Anne ends up, she was willing to just die so that she wouldn't have to kill again. You know what I mean? At the very end. And that's when Alex kind of had to like be like, you know, give her that most harsh pep talk in the world, you know? So it at least was believable where she was at, like mentally.
Yeah.
So
I thought the Shadow Realm here was cool. It was kind of spooky. It was it really had some good imagery, and so the setting was fine, but again, we'd already kind of seen it. And then the Blink Fox thing, I'm assuming that's going to become like
this made me so happy.
The Blink Fox was fun.
Yeah,
gotta
was
have
like,
the animal companion.
Yeah, I really was thinking the one thing this series is missing is a good animal companion, and then this seems to be rectifying this situation. I mean, Arachnid kind of was that, but we need
the fact that it's human level intelligence just seems weird to me, though.
Well, I think it's like kind of in a different way than like a human. Like it's very smart and can do. I don't know.
That's how
it obviously can't. Yeah, I know that's how it's described, but it's not like it's talking to him. Like he's not going to be carrying out conversations with it on the regular. So
I mean, it's kind of like how Dresden, well, Mister is just a regular cat, kind of, but Mouse is really smart as well.
Yeah, it's true. But okay, so I did like the Blink Fox. I wish, this might be a worst of the best maybe, but I wish that the Blink Fox would have done a little bit more to help get him out, you know, like kind of biting Crystal on the arm maybe could have been a little bit more, you know, like the Blink Fox has teleporting magic. Maybe they could have used that magic to get them out or something. That's a little criticism for me.
You're expecting more if it's human level intelligence.
I'm expecting a little bit more than just like a bite on the arm when at a crucial moment. I'm expecting like so.
Well, you don't want too much of a Deus Ex Machina just like come in. Oh, the fox saves the day. What?
Well, sure, but like he hadn't noticed the fox since like the first act or maybe the second act or what. Like when he kind of had this thing in the back of his mind, and then he was like kind of made friends with it and like told him
Okay,
told him
sure.
them, and the fox like was smart enough to know that he wasn't coming through the front door anymore, so like went around and found where they're coming out. Like the fox did a lot. Like there's a lot of positioning to get the fox there just to like kind of save Dresden and like a kind of lame way, you know. I'm not complaining. I'm glad the Bling Fox is there. But
yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I got my worst of the best already. If we're just gonna do worst of the best now.
Yeah, I guess Ben did his without much of a lead in, but we'll edit that in. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Okay, worst of the best for me is Crystal. Just in general, her character. I want more from her character. Like I want her to. I feel like there's potential for her and Alex to like do a team up, you know, where she's gray enough that like you feel bad.
She's not gray. Are you joking?
She's
me?
evil. She's evil, but
she's
she's
evil. She has no redeeming factors.
She's hot.
She's not. Yeah, she has
Well,
zero
okay, I feel-
redeeming factors.
kind of, but I feel like she could be kind of like Laura Wraith from Dresden
No,
Files.
all she cares about is obtaining eternal life.
Yeah,
Josh is hoping she becomes she you know.
No, well,
she
no,
I
I
feel
think
like you got who's the seductress one from like book 2?
Meredith. Right?
Meredith is more of a contender.
Dang, how
oh,
did I
yeah,
get
for
that?
sure,
Yeah.
Meredith.
Good
Yeah,
job.
for sure, Meredith. But I do feel like Crystal. I don't know. Hear me out. Like
No. She's a terrible person. Okay, sorry, I'll hear you out.
well, okay, fine. Maybe if Meredith would pop in the scene, he needs somebody that he can like play off of, that he kind of has like a will they won't they relationship where they're bad. He knows that she's bad for him, and like, but he's like drawn to her and she'll help him out, but like probably make things worse by helping him out. Like
Yeah.
I wish that there's a character like this, and it seems like it could be Crystal, but yeah, it seems like he does just seem like he wants.
Yeah,
to make
no, there's
Crystal
no redeeming factors.
villain.
That's
But
kind
no,
of yeah,
but just like making
the will they won't they is Anne right now.
no, but Anne
Yeah,
is,
but it's also weird with Anne
because Anne is you know, what's his face is kind of obsessed with Anne, like
Wait, who's
Saunders.
obsessed with me?
not
Saunders.
Saunders, no
or Sonder. No, Luna likes. Yeah, Sonder likes
Saunders
Luna.
Saunders likes Luna, but what her like bodyguard friend guy.
No, he's not interested in he feels responsible. Varian
yeah,
feels responsible, but not a will they won't they type thing. Varian doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really like her. He just feels responsible for her.
I don't know, man. I think yeah, of course. Anne has
Is
been-
Varium the one where Alex has a conversation with him and Varium's like, you realize why no one likes Anne? It's because she's
Yeah.
a freaking weirdo.
He's just a weirdo, yeah. Like yeah, because they can all see the not Anne. That was also worse than the best. With her like split personality was just called not Anne. I'm like, you gotta kind of come up with a better thing than just hyphenating a name with a not in front of it.
all right, Steven, what's your
Yeah.
worst of the best? Ben's too critical of my worst of the best, apparently.
Yeah, your reports
Yeah.
of the best makes no sense. Freaking
It
Crystal.
does.
She's like
Crystal
she's like
Crystal could
Hitler.
be done a lot better. She's not like
It's like,
Hitler.
She is.
That's a big whoa, that's big. She
She wants to sacrifice everybody that we.
she's
care
not
about.
genocidal. She wants to find the
She is
secret to eternal
genocidal.
life.
She's gonna kill anybody that she thinks is gonna help her. She's like,
That's
I'm gonna kill every
way
adept
different than
in the world
that's-
until I find eternal
that's
life.
that's way different than Hitler.
Okay.
Hitler
It's like-
I
wanted to
didn't mean to
exterminate.
invoke the Hitler card too quickly.
All right.
That was a big
She's
one.
like the Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark. We'll say that. It's fair.
Good in between, Steven.
Yeah, Ben's like, I'll listen to you, Josh, but you're wrong, and you're still wrong.
Ben
My
just-
worst of the best. I didn't prepare one. I'll just kind of riff off of yours, Josh, and I'll say that there needs to be more sexual romantic tension throughout the books. That that really, I don't know. I enjoy that. I think it drives forward some things and makes for some interesting conflicts. And there's just not very much of it. There was a little bit with Luna in the first few books, but it never really, it just kind of seemed forced at that time, and I'm still not really buying any of it.
Well, there's a little bit in book 5 where not Anne was like, you realize you could just like take advantage of us right now, you know? And he was like,
Just
no,
don't,
I would never do that.
yeah, and like, yeah, and Anne is like not wearing as much as,
Yeah.
you know, as would be proper, and
Right.
Alex is like, oh, yeah,
And
but
he's snuggled up in his jacket. It definitely
yeah,
like paints a picture where it's like, you know,
I don't know.
But
I just
their
don't.
interactions with each other are never like when they actually talk to each other.
they're all pretty stilted. Yeah.
It's
Like,
it never feels like they're flirting.
They don't have a ton of chemistry, and I don't love Anne as a character, so I'm not cheering for the relationship.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I could see her character getting better. It's just I feel like this book was the book that needed to get her character better, and for me, it just made me feel sorry for her, but it didn't really make me like her more.
yeah, I could see that. You definitely feel sorry for her. I mean, she went through a lot of stuff. And the
Yeah.
fact that she's like trying to like open the medical center and people are just like abusing her, you know, and just like, man, this girl needs to catch a break, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and you do feel bad for her too um at the end of book 4 because she like puts all of her trust in Alex and it's like, oh, maybe a mage isn't going to be that bad and I can trust in somebody. And then she, ends up, um, being disappointed by him.
and I think that's fine to build sympathetic characters, but I, I also think you want your characters to be cool,
Yeah.
and just isn't very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She should have had a little bit more like agency and like a little bit more drive to get herself out of this situation. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
just do a few cool kind of, punk things or whatever, and we'll like her.
Yeah. What did you think about the um oh, what's his name? Like the Sagash's apprentices, like the girl with 2 swords and how he took her on. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't remember their names either. I wonder if they'll be recurring or not.
I don't think
Wait,
so.
actually, do they make it out?
Well, I mean, they're just Sagash's apprentices. I don't think he's gonna kill him.
Okay. I just couldn't remember if they survived other events or not, but
Uh, I mean,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
That the part I thought was funniest was when gosh dang it, Alex is like, oh, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, and then just like nut shots the guy, like just like kicks him in the balls. That was pretty funny. It
Alex has
makes
got to,
Alex as a
yeah.
character.
Well, he's got to go for whatever little tricks he doesn't have any
Yeah,
offensive power other than that kind of stuff.
yeah, and then like beating the girl with 2 swords by like getting her to fall off the cliff. That was pretty cool too.
Oh, okay. I actually do remember this.
Yeah, and how she like tries to use 2 swords and it just like doesn't work out for her.
That seemed like a scene from a movie or a TV show that's just like written to be like, oh, who does this? Just completely fails. That was funny.
Okay. Any final thoughts on Chosen or Hidden?
Yeah, Josh, when I listened to these episodes that you guys recorded before, and I think Josh, you had like a phrase that kept on reoccurring that was like his intuitions. I did not notice it after the book that you were talking about. Like I didn't notice it in book 4 or 5, but the ones that I've noticed is when he like is looking into the future, and he's like, and then the futures like phased out and went away or something like that. There's always like that similar language that's used for those.
Yeah, I noticed him using it less in these books too, but I do feel like overall I liked the magic more at the beginning than I do now. I just feel like he hasn't really done anything interesting in the last few books with his mage magic. He just kind of does the same thing of like checking futures, picks the best course of action, check futures, pick the best course of action, da 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 da. I feel like which is fine, but I feel like there's room for this to be a little bit inventive, and
He needs to level up more.
Cool. Yeah,
He needs to like
sure.
meet a mentor or something. That mentor that we met in the first book that he kind of like teleported to and had the conversation with, and the guy's like, "See you never," and then like walked away. He needs to go meet that guy again and like learn some more tricks.
Or get some cool artifact that unlocks some, something. Yeah, he needs to level up more.
Yep. And that's another thing, not to keep comparing to Dresden, but you feel like Dresden kind of does like level up every book a little bit, he gets something cool, gets a new ability, learns something.
And a lot of times he has to give up a part of himself to do that too,
Yeah.
Like, oh, what are you gonna have to sacrifice to?
I think Dresden does the same. It is kind of a meme in Dresden where he just gets beat up until he's like as beat up as he can possibly be, and then he like suddenly pulls from a well of energy. Like Dresden for sure has its like things.
It has its quirks. That's the one thing. At least Alex is good at not getting beat up too badly. He dodges attacks for the most part.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Nice.
So you guys excited for book 6?
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to wait any longer. Get back into the series, ready to go. I'm hoping it's better than Hidden.
Yeah. I'm halfway through right now, and so I don't want to give anything away, but I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah. All right, Ben, Josh, this has been fun. I don't know if we have both of you guys on an episode together for a while.
It's been a bit. Yeah, because I've mostly been doing Cradle and this, and Ben's mostly been doing. Yeah.
Hey, I did Will of the Many.
So I finally finished Will of the Many. I need to talk to you guys about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll end this recording and then
check out our interview with James Islington if you're interested in that book. And Josh, drop your takes in the chat, in our special chat over Discord.
All right.
And if you're listening and want to chat with us, you can do that on Discord or comment or whatever, but links are going to be in the episode description. And we don't have a special chat for Alex Verus, but if we get enough fans that are clamoring for it, we will do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
We hope we will, because that was,
we like talking about it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Yep.